Welcome to the final update of the Garden of 2021. We're going to start in the corner again at the volunteer sunflower, which has grown and grown and grown. In fact, it's grown so much, it's almost as tall as me now. The sunflower stands next to the buckets of dill and cilantro, and I remember earlier in the season, they grew so slowly, weeks just to grow a few little leaves, and now they have just exploded upward. Every week I harvest a big handful of those onions and they just keep growing back. And I have another big bucket of them coming after those are finished. Here are the pole beans, and they are growing very slowly. They grew much faster in the fall when the temperatures were warm throughout the day. I'll give it some more time, see if they make it up to that trellis. And then we have a cucumber right there, 2 cucumbers, and a cantaloupe, cabbage, carrots, kale. All of them growing very well. I'm surprised this kale is still growing so well even though we've had hot temperatures, because it's typically a cool weather plant. Nice head of broccoli, should be ready soon. The magic rock has done wonders for this collards plant. Here's the view from below and here's the view from above. The collard leaves are huge. I've been harvesting these already for a few weeks. In fact, many of these plants I've already been harvesting for several weeks. There's some kale, some lettuce, some Swiss chard. I've been going out and just cutting 1 meal's worth of produce per day right before breakfast, lunch, or dinner. All of these leafy greens grew very successfully this season, unlike last year when earwigs and other pests really destroyed everything. But this year, I'm winning that battle against the pests. Cheer up, sweet Adeline pepper. Better days are ahead. It'll get warmer and you'll grow better when that warm weather comes. And you also have company right next to that yellow summer squash and the cherry tomato that was grown on the heat mat and now has a nice supportive cage. Bush beans growing in the earth, also growing very slowly. They'll like it more when the hot weather comes. Black Beauty zucchini, another hot weather summer vegetable under the trellis next to that mystery plant. What is that mystery plant? You already know what it is now. That's the grapevine. Towering above the cucumber plant, the grapevine goes all the way to the top of the trellis and then turns right. There's vines growing off of it like crazy, and hopefully I'll be having some nice red flame grapes growing from it soon. Of the 3 trellises where I'm growing cucumbers, they're growing best right here on the north trellis. I have 4 pea plants. 1 of them is finished for the season. The other 3 are still producing peas. Some of them are ready right now. Other peas will be ready soon. Lots of potatoes still on the way. Look how big the stems grew on these potato plants. Much bigger than the potatoes that I harvested the other day. I fed these with lots of plant food. Compare that to an older potato plant where I didn't feed it. Much smaller leaves. And there's still much more. We have some red ruby lettuce and a squash and a cantaloupe and some red Russian kale and some red romaine lettuce next to those potatoes. Right next to more potatoes that were just planted the other day, and collard greens, lots of collard greens, and a giant cabbage that is more than ready to be harvested, which is alongside those beets which got sprayed with too much neem oil. You can see the damage on the leaves. And here is the classroom lima bean plant. And yet another potato plant. Those should be ready in about 6 to 8 weeks. The garden isn't all vegetables. Here are some zinnia flowers. The flowers haven't budded yet, but they're on their way. And how about some marigold flowers? Those will attract the beneficial insects. And of course, as a gardener, you always have to think about the future. So there's some new sprouts with new plants that will come to replace the ones that get harvested. About 16 weeks ago, 4 months, we were in the middle of winter. The only thing that was growing were a couple of really tough kale plants. But that was the right time to start thinking ahead to the future, thinking about the spring that was coming. And I planted all those little seeds and took care of them, and slowly but surely, they have blossomed into a big, bountiful garden. There was a lot of hard work, and I made many mistakes, but I also learned many new things. Now all of the hardest work is complete, and each day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I can go out into the garden and pick and enjoy the fruits of my labors.